accused of sexually assaulting dozens of women for more than a decade.
Today we will react to the indictment of the Alexandar brothers. Fadhia, I'm sure something like this has been happening, but it's slowly coming to light what has been happening for quite some time.
They said 2024 is the year that everything hidden will come to light. So I'm so glad that 2024 has not ended without this story coming to light. These brothers, Alon, Oren, and Oren, two of them are twins, real estate moguls. One of them heads the family security firm. Of course, their victims have been between Manhattan all the way to Miami. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been doing this since high school, and they were famous for this. And the people around them in their circles have known that this is something that they have been doing, even as young men in high school. And a lot of these young girls were basically hiding in shame. And they were drugging girls even then. And now everything is so much more sophisticated.
Cocaine and GHB, a sedative sometimes used as a party drug, and frequently spiking women's drinks before allegedly taking advantage of them.
I mean, hey, at this age and time, even I am so afraid. I mean, I barely go anywhere, but it's like if I go to a friend's house, I'm like, can I trust these drinks? I mean, it's
exactly
like you know, literally you can be handed a drink, you won't know what hit you. You don't know anything. People can do whatever they want to you, you know, even slice you in pieces and you won't know it. It's very, very sad. But I'm so glad that it's finally coming out.
One of the boys actually mentioned that, like, when he was inquired about his biggest high school accomplishment, he actually stated that his biggest accomplishment being doing what he has done, essaying girls, and imagine not facing any repercussions. I mean, because like you said, you know, a lot of things that are coming to light. Human trafficking in under different formats have been happening, but it just wasn't getting the attention it requires because it's mostly an issue that affects women and children. So it's not really getting the attention that it deserves. But to a degree, something is being done now. A lot of high profile people who have done different forms of human trafficking are being indicted. And like, I'm here for it. You know, I'm here for it because it's just, what example are we setting for the next generation when we are like this is happening and it's considered someone's bragging rights? It makes no sense to me.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, you always hear people say terrible things about wealth and money. And we are learning now that it's not a good thing to say things like, you know, money is the root of all evils, or, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and things like that. But it's because we have seen it, you know, when people are wealthy and powerful, they think they can get away with anything. And I mean, look at these brothers. They're handsome. I mean, it's not about them not finding a woman to sleep with or whatever. It's about dominating women and embarrassing women and taking advantage of women and basically just humiliating women. And you know, the same thing we were talking about the other day. It's about, how dare you, women? You think you have arrived?
Yeah.
You know, do you think you guys have freedom? We will show you that you haven't anywhere, and that we can do whatever we want to you. And my question is, what are we learning from this as women and as girls? You know, I'm so glad I'm not a young girl anymore, really, because I feel like the world has gotten so much darker and a lot more evil, you know. I'm a mother of two girls. I worry about my girls, because I feel like, you know, I was watching this movie the other day, Blink Twice, and it's just like what these guys are doing. I was thinking to myself, you know, this reminds me of the Epstein saga and all that. And I said, oh my God, I'm sure these things happen. And then within weeks after watching that movie, this is what that we are realizing. Of course,
Yeah,
we've heard all about the P Diddy and all that stuff, but it's 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 just unbelievable. It's
yeah.
what are you thinking? Like when you do
You
things
know,
like, how long do you think you can get away with such a thing?
yeah. I mean, like, it goes back to having money. I mean, to me, I personally don't consider money to be the root of evil, but money is a tool. Money is a
Absolutely.
tool. And this young woman that they were bringing in and bringing like across states and taking to other countries, they were able to do that because of the resource that they had. And also the girls, they were incentivized and they got lured in by all the glamour that this glamorous lifestyle that these guys were leading, and like is the money is a tool. So they saw that and they were like, oh, like you said earlier, like, oh, this is my Prince Charming, and I can get my piece of the pie. The story itself is heartbreaking, but a portion of the story, segment of one of the experience of the victim is actually she and her friend were there together, and she was essayed, and the next morning she told her friend about it, and they were both able to get out. And it's like, one, if you're going to do some stuff, sometimes don't do it alone. Like if you're invited to a house party or somewhere where you don't really know or familiar with the people that are there, always bring someone with you. Rule number one. And honestly, that's more like a rule number two. Rule number one is to don't even go. Because
Exactly.
you're opening the door. But
Yeah.
if you're invited by people you trust or people you work with and you have some type of trust, like this happens in the music industry too. A lot of women
Oh, yeah.
are coming out and
Yeah.
discussing, like, they are sharing their stories of like similar experiences where
Yeah.
their own producers will set up. Your producer and the person above them reach out to you and then you're invited to a party, like you're thinking like this is a great opportunity to network and like leave some type of impression. If you don't go to that party, you're gonna feel like you're missing out. This is like great opportunity for you to get to the next step of your career,
The
but
truth.
because you
Yeah.
go,
Mhm.
it didn't
Mhm.
happen. So it's hard to say don't go. It's not like a normal house party when you are 17. But if you're trying to build a career and you're invited by the people that can help you, like, you know, like climb up the ladder, then you could see there's a potential. But it's really heartbreaking. That's how some humans can be evil and use money, the power that comes with money, to take advantage of others.
Instead of using it to help others. Well, you know what I would say actually, in terms of like people helping you with your career, you don't even need that anymore. You know, with the age of technology and social media, record companies and film companies,
Mhm.
they're becoming kind of obsolete, because you realize, well, first of all, in the film industry, nobody gets anywhere without, you know,
Something
being
you
used.
gotta
You
give.
know, and the record industry, you don't even need that. The record industry today, you can just set up your own social media platforms and you just sing, and you can eliminate the middleman and all the people, that all the leeches that take advantage of you, and you basically end up getting crumbs, like
Mhm.
25 cents per record, for example. You
Right.
don't need that anymore. So that
But
has already started. For the past 10, 12 years, a lot of people have been doing that. And eventually you get to a place where you will not be ignored anymore. You cannot be ignored. And they'll come after you, and you are above the fray by, when that comes. So if you're trying to get into the industry,
I mean, it just takes longer if you're doing it on your own because these companies, they got a large
no, not
marketing
in the
budget.
record industry anymore. You really don't need record industries anymore. A lot of people are getting away from it. You don't need it.
Yeah,
Especially,
Maya is one of them. She
especially knowing, something's gotta give. They might help you, but eventually a lot of these musicians, especially
paid the
musicians,
price.
they are known to be broke. They have no
Mhm.
money. It might look like they have money because the industry is taking everything. They
Mhm.
are making it look like these people, with fancy cars and fancy cribs and this and that, but they have no cash flow. For example, a lot of
Mhm.
these people are broke, and by the and by the time they're done with you, they can suck you dry. And if you try to get out, you know, you are left with nothing. So you're
Right.
basically held hostage,
Yeah.
to the devil. So I would say, there are so many ways, thank God, nowadays to make money. And you don't need these industries. They're horrific, they're evil. And that's coming from someone who have been in the industry. I mean, I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I've done some stuff. And I am so, so, so glad that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, kept me away from this,
Yeah.
and just, I'm so happy. I look back and I'm like, you know what? You have been protected
Mhm.
by the by your creator. And so I'm so grateful. I mean, things came to me after completely giving up on it completely. And so, and I what I would say to women is, you have to be very, very careful. Take your own drinks if you go somewhere. Don't take a drink from anyone.
Mhm.
Anyone. And you know what?
Yeah,
I know a lot
except
of
me.
young people, you think these men are reaching out to you on Instagram and all this social media, because that's some of the things these guys were doing. They
Yeah.
were actually sourcing some of the women from dating apps. They were
Mhm.
going on, promising
Parties.
relationships.
Yeah.
They were going to Instagram and other places, basically luring these girls, who's who. A lot of girls wouldn't say no. A lot of these guys that are reaching out to you on social media, you don't know anything about them. You gotta make sure you know what you're getting into, and make your
Mhm.
own money, girls. Make your own money. We came a long way, honey. There, I truly believe. Call me old fashioned or old woman or whatever you want to call me, but I do not believe there's such a thing as free lunch.
Mhm.
Make your own money, okay? Don't, never ever put yourself in positions like this, especially now that we're not ignorant anymore. We know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put yourself in situations where someone can take advantage of you. I mean, Fatlia, right now, if you go into TikTok, you will hear girls talking about being flown out. And he asked me if he can fly out. Like, literally, I was seeing a message of a girl yesterday that, like, was talking about that kind of subject. It's becoming a huge thing. It's being glamorized by a few girls, and then, a few other ones do it. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard of the story that what happened in Dubai. Girls were
Oh my
fed.
God. I
They were,
heard about that. I don't want to
yeah.
repeat it because there's a lot of stereotyping the Middle East and saying horrific things about certain parts of
But
the world.
that story
Some of the
blew up,
stories can be made
national
up, you
attention.
know. But yeah, but there's horrific things happening everywhere. Men
I
are
mean,
doing,
men are men, regardless what religion. And
yeah,
when people have money,
men
like
are,
you said,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Men are doing terrible things in many parts, everywhere in the world.
yeah.
So, girls, I feel like Muhibba, I especially feel like nowadays, lately, the past 3 to 4 years, I feel like there's a movement, this red pill movement.
Mhm.
um Women are being treated as if they are this commodity that was owned by these people, and sort of like they're sort of out of the gate, and so we need to bring them back to where they belong,
Yeah.
and when they were just a supporting character for us, and where we could do whatever it is we want to do with them. And so there's almost this hatred, you know
Well,
and
to
most of
whom much is giving, much is expected. If women are getting the freedom that we didn't have before, now we're taking it to extreme. I mean, like, I don't, me personally, I don't have anything against anyone who choose to live certain way, but that certain way, when you publicly talk about being only fan and doing this and being flown out by guys, like, uh, 40-year-old girl will hear you, and she will say, "Oh, I want that glamorous life. I want to be on a yacht. I want to make 43 million a year just being an only fan."
Yeah.
The young ones are easily impressed, so they don't really have the ability to filter out the information and, just like look out for them. What could actually come out of this that could jeopardize their life, or like, have an impact on their future. These guys, they looked at situations as a business transactions. Retrieve their old iCloud messages will retrieve, and literally the language is a business language. Like, I want to get high return on my investment. Like, make sure, like, you were saying earlier that they're requesting the type of girls they want, like fun girls that go with the flow. Those are things that they were requesting. They're treating this woman like transaction that they, because that's all they are to them. Like, they're gonna get something out of that. I mean, the girls don't even get to have too much fun. As soon as they get there, things start to happen. They get the first drink they have is already packed, and then that's the last moment that they will remember, other than some major impacts that have happened to them throughout window times within that time frame. It's devastating. When I listen to this case, I'm like, what is the future of like young girls who just want to have fun with their, because there's also nothing wrong with that, like, a bunch of girls and guys hanging out at a yacht having fun. There's no harm in that. But hearing stuff like this, you're like, I don't want to be around the opposite sex ever.
It's devastating to be I feel like to be young, and be a woman. It's happening to boys too, so to be young and beautiful,
Oh my God.
nowadays is, it's almost a curse, because I don't know if you remember, but it was what, 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, when the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was indicted,
That's
luring young men to a similar situations.
Mhm.
They would
Yeah.
they would it's like they were acting like they were running this a modeling agency for young men, using his previous title as former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, and they would lure young men. The young men would send their photos and pictures or whatever, and they would interview them, and then they would send them tickets and fly them to different parts of the world, and into these events. And these events were literally,
Well,
and there were security guards at the gate
mhm.
making sure it was this one. Did he go? Did
Yeah.
he?
Wow.
You could only get out if you were already essay
What?
afterwards. Yes. So these are the things that are happening. Horrific things are
Yeah.
happening, and it's happening to both young men and women. And I feel like, hey, if that's happening in, for example, young men and women from this country, one of the most abundant nations in the world, you
Mm,
know, where literally there are millions of jobs that are unfilled.
mm,
The sky is the limit. Look at all these glamorous people that came before you. Many of them have, drug problems, drinking problems, are
right.
depressed. Every
Mhm,
other couple of months, a famous person is found drowned in their pools or
mhm.
bathtub or
Yeah.
whatever. Money does not necessarily make you happy. It doesn't buy you happiness. You something is gotta give. Make your own money. Go. Let's go back to the old ways where people can meet in
Mhm.
spaces that are more respectable, where everyone knows where everyone else is. Just don't take chances like this. Don't
But
take chances like this. And I want to say also, the women that are on TikTok and Instagram, these so-called fake models who are acting like I was flown here and I was this and that
mhm.
and I was invited, and they're all coming, taking pictures on yachts and stuff. You got to ask yourself, like, and then what happens? Nobody gets flown to different parts of the world and all over the world and get all this fancy luxury stuff for nothing. But if you think, oh, people just gonna look at my beauty, and I just me being there is good enough, you got another thing coming. That's not. And these women, they're probably getting paid to seduce other young boys and girls
Mhm.
this misery, because misery
Yeah.
loves company.
Tell me why. a beautiful girl will grab a camera and talk about like, I'm being flown to different countries, I live glamorous life, I have monthly allowance and this and that, and portraying this amazing lifestyle that can be attained by girls, other girls their age, or other girls, and I always say, well, what price did you pay? Because something got to give. Like you mentioned, like those young stars, a lot of them, they're not normal. They live very like mental stressed type of lives, and because of what they endure as a young person in the industry. There are a lot of like now older models that have been in the industry for like 40 plus years. A lot of them are from other countries, and they were actually scouted by a photographer, and they're like, oh, like you'll be a great model, let's go to
Like
America.
Ilan and Khadija and
Right,
all,
exactly.
Uba, all of them, yeah.
Yeah, they came to like America or Europe for modeling, and things worked out, and like no one knows what happened behind closed doors, but they had a successful modeling career, and it worked out too. So it's just like always, if someone wants to climb the ladder in any industry, and the person that has invited them is someone who's that can help them achieve that goal for whatever reason, like just be cautious. That's what I want to tell the young girls and the young guys too. Just like you might not want to close all the doors on yourself, be networking and connecting with other people. Like Fatia said, there's no free lunch.
These brothers, they purchase a plane and no one knows where it is.
Yeah,
And of course,
exactly.
they're connected to Israel. And you've heard about the Israel, where a lot of people who do this kind of crimes, once they are bailed out, they go to Israel, and Israel does not extradite their people.
Mhm. But they
And
rejected the bill. Like one of them has a pregnant wife, and he's staying home with her.
I know, and his wife is a model,
Yeah.
and she's so beautiful. The last cases might be like 2021. So
Exactly.
I think he recently got married. Um, but his wife is so beautiful. There's it's very sad. Um, but
I don't think a marriage will stop him. Probably if they continue to dig, something even more recent will come up.
oh, I'm
So
sure,
that's a sickness.
because people like this don't stop till they
Yeah,
are stopped. Unless someone makes them stop, they don't stop, because they think
exactly.
they can get away with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
I am sure there are, because and that's what the DA is asking. You know, people to more and more people to come
Good.
forward. This
Yeah.
is your opportunity to come forward, and I think a lot more people are going to come forward.
Yeah, because a lot of people were afraid. Actually, one of their one during the high school and post high school, when they were doing these essays to women, they will literally say that like if you tell anything the authorities, or like you try to do anything, like we'll retaliate.
I would just say again to young women of today, please know your place. A lot of these men are mad because women, the past 30 years, they feel like, women have achieved a lot. More and more women are going to colleges. And in fact, in many schools in the world, universities, there are more women who are attending colleges than men. And so women are achieving, although I still think this is a man's world, and men, are running the show in many ways. But still, with the very little that women achieved, men are mad. I don't know
Mhm.
why. I mean, and I'm not saying that because I'm one of those so-called feminists who hate men. I don't. I love men. We love men.
Right.
We need each other. We could, but
We
this is,
create with each other. Yeah.
yeah, we depend on each other, and I wouldn't want to be a world without men, but I'm
Mhm.
saying there are some men who are mad, and the sad thing is there are men who love their wives, love their daughters, love their sisters. They don't want anything bad happening to their loved
Mhm.
ones, but then they go around doing things like this.
It doesn't make sense to them. They don't make that connection. Like, I wouldn't want this happening to my daughter or my sister or like even my wife. But they don't have problem doing that. When they were discussing text message in the press, This text message don't even seem like they are referring to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Let make sure I get high return on my investment. What? Are we talking about another human being, or are we going to talk? We're talking about Excel spreadsheet. They have removed that human aspect of it when they're dealing with this woman, and that's why, like, they don't even show any remorse. If you're bragging about an assault, there's no remorse. Appear to be a remorse, let alone think that they are sorry for what they've done, the pain they've caused this woman. See more stuff like this because I know they're not the first, they're not going to be the last. This
Oh,
stuff has been happening. There are people that they learn from. They have been working with other people.
One of these Alexandar brothers told one of the girls that he invited in Miami, "Oh, this is my cousin," and so, but it turns out it's not a cousin. It's just some creep who's been doing things with them. And one of the assaults took place in his home, which is the Hamptons.
Mhm.
And he actually held the girl down.
We allege that these drugs caused some of the women to be physically unable to fight back or to escape.
When she realized what was happening, she tried to get out, and the security guard, stopped her and said, "You can't leave. We're not done with you." It is just heinous.
Wow.
And then they drag her. They literally drag her upstairs. Two of the Alexander brothers and this man, and the two brothers fought over, which one is going to go first.
Wow.
They literally got into, like, let me go first. They're just disgusting.
Mhm.
Disgusting. They're monsters.
Mhm.
Monsters.
They
And
are
you gotta be a monster to have, like, the whole family involved. Like,
Yeah.
this is a family affair. It's just horrific. Like,
absolutely, to treat another human that way and take their liberty away, and this is something that you can easily
with
get.
your sibling, and to that's so bad to do it with your sibling.
Yeah,
What are they
exactly.
thinking?
Yeah, they get carried away with greed and power, and just like having power over someone. That's how some people have hobbies to play golf, to play chess,
Yeah.
to do something. That's their hobby. Seeing
know.
women cry for help is their hobby. They get some type of kick from that, and I hope that kick comes back to kick them.
Absolutely. There's even I think I read it someplace. They would say to the girls, "You don't need to, you don't need to scream. No one's coming for you. No one can hear you."
Exactly. Yeah. So
I
typical.
am surprised that no one at least lost their lives. But how do we know? Maybe they, who knows?
Nobody knows. I mean, like, sometimes, especially the high school girls that they were doing, they definitely cause long-term pain with that type of assault to a high schooler. Like, who knows?
A lot of young women hopefully will learn some things, and will safeguard themselves.
Yeah, I hope these guys are made an example of.
Young men and women both, because it's happening to men too.
Exactly. Thank you for watching our reaction. If you enjoyed our reaction, please subscribe. That will let us know to create more videos like this for you.
Thank you so much, Muhibba, and thank you, everyone. See you in the next one.
Thank you, Fadlia. Bye, everyone. See you next one.